Okay, so what's up everyone? And on today's episode, we are going to be doing a little something different, and we are going to be working on this, which is a new Alienware laptop. There's a few of them here. This is actually going to be the third one that I'm going to work on. And what we are working on is this laptop's only a couple weeks old. But what we are going to be installing is it has a 512 gigabyte hard drive. We're going to go ahead and add to that. And check out how small these little hard drives are. Look at that. It's that M2 80mm form factor. And it's going to be 1 terabyte. So it'll make it 1.5 terabytes. By the way, I was trying to shoot the video with this. This is the GoPro 9. Garbage. Just don't get it. I got it and it is just terrible. The touchscreen is like... This is after an update, by the way. So, see how kind of laggy, or sometimes it just doesn't respond. I'm using the Osmo Action. I completely endorse the Osmo Action. It is amazing. These little cameras are great for shooting these videos, by the way, because they are small, so they get into all of these little nooks and crannies, like when you're shooting videos and stuff. So I highly encourage it. I do like the fact that you can stream with this and you can actually use this as a webcam. It has worked for that, so that's big kudos for that. But it does 5K, which this camera that I'm using only does 4K, but 4K is still a lot. But this one does 5K, but I don't know if it's the problem with the memory cards. And this one was actually part of the promo, and it came with the camera from GoPro. And this card still, it causes, when you're shooting with 5K, I've already shot with it every single time, it fails for some reason. So I don't know why it's doing that. So I do have the subscription to GoPro. So if I keep having issues, I'm going to send it in and be like, hey, this doesn't work. Shoot with it. It doesn't work. So that's good. If you're going to get this, get the subscription. So that way when it junks out or craps out, you can go ahead and get it repaired. And it has the media mod on it, by the way. So this is like a little shotgun mic. But this isn't a video about this camera, but just be buyer beware. It's actually about this laptop. So pretty easy to get into these guys. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And I have this little screwdriver that I use for computers. Primarily use it for my MacBook. And what I'm going to do first is I am going to start by taking the screws out. And I have a MacBook Pro to the side here. You can't really see it. And here's another little tool that I'm using. And I use this tool here to kind of help pry the screws out. Kind of just helps lift them out. You just kind of put it underneath the head, and it just kind of helps guide the screw out. And I'm just using the MacBook Pro. I don't have a tray right now, so I'm using the MacBook Pro to just kind of hold the screws in order, because they are different sizes as far as the length of the screw. The ones up here in the front are actually I think these two are longer, but these two in the middle are shorter. So it just kind of helps keep that. This is my third laptop now, so it's I've kind of learned. The first one was very interesting. It was quite a long experience. It was at least over an hour to get that one done. This one is definitely not going to be nowhere near that time. The biggest problem I had is I was trying to figure out how to get the hard drive mounted into Windows. Actually, this one, I'm not gonna, knock on wood, but all these screws are coming out fairly easy. The other laptops were actually it's a little bit of a struggle to get these screws out. So the MacBook Pro has an aluminum chassis, and this, I want to say it's well, I don't know. I was thinking it feels different than the Mac. And the Mac screws, when you unscrew them, they just kind of fall out. These, I've noticed you've had to kind of get a little bit of help to get them out. They don't just come out as easy. But with this little tool, it makes it pretty easy to get out. So these are kind of the problem screws here at the end, because this part pops out. And this part, so it's kind of hard here, it doesn't want to come out, because this chassis this little bottom part actually pops off. So a lot of times what I have to do is I have to kind of unscrew them. And then a lot of times they actually stay on. They don't actually come out. But you'll hear it click like that when it's actually out. And the reason why we got these is they were on a sale. And my brother's been looking for a gaming computer. And I was like, hey, you know what? This actually looks like, you know, I watched some. So this is the snapping part. You'll hear it like snap. It feels like you're going to break the darn thing. But you have to like get it up. And we were looking, and he was looking at getting a desktop. This came up on a sale like that my work sent, because they are a Dell like vendor. And it seemed like it was a pretty decent deal. And I had been looking for a PS5, but truth be told, I have not been able to find one. And I've been up like, you know, when the sales went online and all of this and that, and I just haven't been able to get one. So I've been actually signing into like Epic and Steam and all this and that. So I have some games like kind of like stored up in there, but a lot of them do not work on the Mac, you know. And I use my Mac for doing a lot of work stuff, for doing photography, doing video editing. Like I edit all the videos that I do for the channel on the Mac. And it's great, but it just doesn't work for games. Like it's like maybe 10%, if that, of the games work on Mac. So again, this is the hard part, getting this little thing to snap off. Once this thing comes up, which it's trying to, I think it's still like stuck over here. There it goes. Once it goes over there, then it just slides out just like that. I'm going to keep the 2 screws that stayed in. As a matter of fact, this is the 3rd laptop. On all of the laptops, those 2 screws stayed in. They just didn't come off. And then, isn't this amazing? Check this out. This is 1 terabyte. And this is the M2, and it's an 80 millimeter form factor. Whoops. Pretty durable. And this is the screw here that we got to get out. And this is interesting because hopefully, which it doesn't, on my laptop, the one that I did, I was the first one. This screw was a pain to take out. I had to use all kinds of different bits. And then it's a very small, like little connector. It's almost like RAM connecting it in. And you can see it's just like a JAMA board. It has like a little notch. So it tells you which way it goes. So think of it as a mini JAMA board here. And it just goes in like that. Just kind of slide it in. It's very tiny. It just kind of snaps in. And then it has like this little retainer screw hole. It pushes down just like that. And we just got to put the screw in. Very small screws. Just like that. So that's done. And I'm actually just going to take a real quick picture for my thumbnail and for social media. I think that'll be cool. All right. So now that's in. It's screwed in. You got to put the screw so that way it stays in. You can see the little notches here. That's what slides back in. Just like that. And then it kind of just like snaps back in. You hear it snap. And then these other parts will snap in as you start screwing it down. So we're going to screw it down. It'll kind of like snap in and get flush back with the chassis again. And what I like to do, now that I've done this 3 times, is I like to get these 2 screws in. And just to make sure everything is right, I then like to turn it on, because then there's actually some stuff that we have to do inside Windows to make sure it works. So now that we got that, now we're going to go ahead and turn it on. And I'm going to go ahead and reposition the camera in order so you can kind of see what's going on the Windows side real quick. So be right back. Okay, so the first thing I did is I went ahead and started it up, but I went ahead and started it up in BIOS just to check. And I can see here I have the two M2 PCI SSD 1, 2, and 3. There's 3 slots on this thing. There's two 80 millimeter slots and there's one 30 millimeter slot. So it is showing that we have the PC611. That's the default SSD that's inside the computer, and then this SanDisk Ultra 3D NVMe is the actual one that we just installed. So I'm going to go ahead and hit escape. Sometimes your SSD port is not turned on, so you just want to make sure that the BIOS is seeing it. So now we're waiting for it to come back up. Okay. So it looked like it was having that's actually not from the hard drive being installed. That was it seemed like it had issues like shutting down like initially, which was weird because we had Windows up and then it had a hard time shutting down. Like it got stuck. So I just checked the BIOS to make sure that that it was all like being recognized. So this is my brother's computer, so we're going to go ahead and log in. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on this computer, this PC, whatever. I always called it my computer, which is so funny because I think if you go into the settings to turn on the icons, it'll show it as my computer still. Let's go ahead and just kind of close everything. And then we're going to click on storage. Let me bring this a little bit closer to the camera. I don't know if that helps at all. We're going to do disk management. And it's saying, hey, we need to initialize a disk. And it's disk 1. And the reason why it's disk 1 is because disk 0 is our main drive. So I'm just going to tell it OK. It now says that there's 9. So this is our main drive that came with the computer. This is 512 gigabytes, and it's showing that it's actually 476 gigabytes, and the new terabyte is 931. That ticks me off. That's 70 gigs, guys, that we're losing here. I'm like, come on, man. Like, just, false advertising, right? It's just, you know, when I first started like working on computers and stuff, I mean, I was at kilobytes and then I went to megabytes and I thought that was big, but we're talking about 70 gigabytes it's missing. It's just crazy. So it's just asking you, hey, do you want to assign it a drive letter? So his main hard drive, like all of ours, are C, so this will be D, no biggie, right? Format this volume MTFS, volume label, new volume, whatever, right? He can change the actual drive label later. So it's going to go ahead and do a quick format. It says a new drive has appeared. And we can go ahead and click on this PC. And now we realize, hey, we have empty hard drive. So then what I like to do is I like to just copy over something just to make sure it works, which it does. So that's good. So I'm just going to delete that. So that means we're good. And when we put the screws in, this will be a finished product. It didn't take too long. I mean, I had a little bit of problem at the very beginning trying to figure out how to do get that drive initialized and all that, because you know, I've been primarily working on Macs, you know, for a while now and not messing around with Windows in a bit. So I downloaded some kind of like freeware thing that didn't really work right, but you could do it right in Windows just like that. So really cool. And we're going to go ahead and game on these computers. They've been great. Dell's customer service is leaves something to be desired. That's how I'll leave it at that. I have a case open with them that we will determine whether or not their customer service is great this Friday, whether what they decide on the case. And yeah, I mean, now we got the gaming computer like all good to go, and it has, you know, 1.5 terabytes to load some games and play some stuff. So yeah, I know I have 512 in mine, and I'm already like at 60 gigs, and I think my brother is actually kind of in the same boat here. So, well, no, he actually has 137 left. I only had like 60. So I wanted to install like Microsoft Flight Sim. But I think it was like 200 gigs, so I had nowhere near enough. So I was like, you know what? Let's buy these drives and let's do this. Yeah, I need to stop playing. That's for the little R2D2. But that's it. That's going to do it for this episode. Hopefully, hey, like if you're ever trying to update your drive, hopefully you learned something a little different than the arcade stuff, but it's still gaming technically, because we're primarily using these laptops for gaming. But hopefully everyone is doing well. I'm doing much better. And I will see you hopefully on the next episode where we actually get back to doing some arcade stuff. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. All right, bye-bye.